Today we're taking the all-new VW Tiguan to the German Autobahn and see what is it made of. How good is the new generation? We'll find out everything about that with Thomas Nautegefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go here with the front. This color here, pretty cool actually. And yeah, I tried to match the outfit once again. This is a Urano gray. This is the unique color. There's also a metallic gray available if you like it. And did you know that, for example, in Germany, gray is actually the most bought car color? Yeah, very interesting. Then black, white, and then the real colors. The front here, look at that, the light strip. Now here, outside, then there's a light strip in the middle part to connect it. And this is also the R-Line, the sportier look. And you can see here, there's this open design, a lot of high gloss black as contrast. We've just been to the car wash, and there you can see that, yeah, the rest of the water drops, they tend to gather here in these, yeah, more complex design elements, definitely. But this gives definitely a more sporty look to the Tiguan overall. Wheels from 17 to 20 inch. And these are indeed the biggest 20-inch wheels. 19 would be standard for the R-Line, and here you can see high gloss black cladding here also for the R-Line to differentiate a little bit more to the base version. All Tiguan length here, 4.55 meters or 179 inches, just like tiny little bit more than the previous generation. Biggest technology change is the DCC Pro. This is an upgraded adaptive suspension that's also equipped with this test vehicle here, and this has a 2-valve technology, bringing you even more comfort and sportiness at the same time, they promise. First test were running very good. Let's see how it behaves on the Autobahn here today. And there were also some remarks saying like, hey, is there like a rattling noise from the rear axle? I read something about it. I haven't noticed yet, but I'll retest it today on the German Autobahn. The side profile here, once again with the black frame set in this design scheme, I think it fits very well to this gray look. So overall, a pretty sinister Tiguan here for you here today. The IQ light, you see it also here in the rear, by the way. This is the optional LED matrix in the front, and this also changes then something in the rear, that you have these layer effects here on the tail lamps. And of course, when you put in the Leah effects, yeah. I said layer effects, but Leah was thinking like the Leah effects, yeah. But it's also a Leah effect because Leah loves these turning indicators, both in the front and also in the rear, and you only get them if you have this top optional matrix LED, the IQ light. And I think the rear light signature here is pretty cool. Also, once again, this glass effect design. So design-wise, they really made it more modern. Big Tiguan lettering here in the rear, and the R-Line once again adds this special styling right here. The non-R-Line model would look then a little bit more subtle. Increase also with the boot, 650 liters now, so a couple of liters more. And it is very well usable indeed, 1.40 meters in width here between the wheel arches. And the normal length is just over 90 centimeters or 36 inches, so that's cool. And then you can fold the seats easily from here and here. The only thing you can see when the co-driver seat is a little bit too far back because Leah has been relaxing, then you need to put it a little bit forward like this. And there you can see it also has this fixation that it actually stays in place. Underneath here, by the way, there would still be space for a spare tire. There we go. Mickey Mouse, anyone? It's totally Mickey Mouse, isn't it? And then you can also get a full power socket here in the trunk. And Leah now shows us this adaptive towing hook. There we go. Interesting mechanism. It's like semi-automatic. There we go. So you have to put it there in place. And then when you press it once again, yeah, sometimes you make your hands a little bit dirty. There we go. And then you can push it back. Key fob, high gloss black. Not my favorite one, I have to say. Door closing sound. It is very nice. Front, let's see how it is in the rear. Both really nice. That I really like. Inside of the doors, soft touch here on the top part, even softer here, also for your elbow. Then you have this new high gloss black insert. It's also illuminated actually. And then here, this is a little bit distracting for the camera. Here, this is really nice. The totally covered door pockets, and we have that sometimes in 120,000 euro cars, and it's not the case anymore. So well done here. Then R-Line steering wheel, perforation at the side, real buttons still on the steering wheel. That's really lovely here. Left side for the cruise control, volume, right side to control the digital instruments. Switch gear is right here. Drive forward, reverse like this. And the seats, in this case, animal skin, they do not offer alternatives to animal skin in the high trims here, unlike with the ID models. That has to be highly criticized indeed. Volkswagen has to be consistent also, because I mean, it's like, oh, when you buy a combustion engine, then you don't care about animals? It's like, there are people who buy combustion engines and still like animals and have dogs and stuff. So yeah, I don't get it. But you can also get nice fabric and microfiber seats actually for the Tiguan, so at least that. Then steering wheel up and down, in and out, and so on. And what I found also very interesting, here you see the R-Line entry badge, and like this area here actually remained clean and relatively dry. This was from cleaning here, back cleaning now. So this area here was dry because you can see the door sill is quite low. So this was a good finding then after the car wash, that the most relevant parts here on the inside remained relatively dry after the car wash. With 189, 6'2", there's still enough headroom left here. Ergonomics of the seat, however, are good. Upright, good seating position, and it's a compact feeling here, so it's not too large, but it's not too small. That's the key secret to the Tiguan, why it is one of the best sellers in the compact SUV segment. New cockpit here, a lot of high gloss black. With the R-Line you also have this illumination on the background, otherwise it would also be just a black plain field. Then here leather red with a blue contrast, this is also very nicely done. Then you either get 13-inch screen, or here this optional 15 inches, the larger one actually, and this is like, wow, in your face, so large indeed. But the good thing about this is, because you might say, hey, isn't it distracting when the screen is even larger? On the one hand, maybe yes. On the other hand, I say no. Oh, Leah also shakes her head. She loves it when the display is super large in the vehicle, actually. Because I found that here, the icons, for example, here in the Apple CarPlay integration, which also works wirelessly, by the way, and Android Auto as well, the icons are bigger, so you can not miss anything, you know. Also here, when you deactivate the speed warning for the EU theme here, is easily done. You also can click here in the middle, not only here. And they've massively upgraded the software now, so it's quicker now, it's more reliable, and it's larger in the screen, so I'm actually happy with the infotainment system now. There's still better software and hardware out there, yes, but it's not that, for example, with the like pre-facelift Golf and so on, Leon, Octavia, all pre-facelift, it was just horrible with the software at VW, and now it's definitely better. Sliders here are illuminated at night, and you can slide for the temperature. At least it's better that you can do it here, otherwise you could also do it here inside the screen. That's also possible. Then the middle console is quite interesting. Here you have space above, and underneath there's inductive charging pad. You see here 14 Pro, 14 Pro Max, the iPhones, and they both charge, and they are also both cooled here with cooling holes so they don't overheat. 2 USB-C charging is also possible. And then in the middle console here, high gloss black. This will look ugly quite quickly, sadly. Start, stop, and engine right here. And then you have this multi-mode button here, for example, for the volume. But you can also press it, and then you can, for example, here select the driving mode. So that's actually a good idea, that you don't have to do that once again in the screen only. Digital instruments, very good to read. I like the central view, but you can of course also change the views, whatever you want to have. The head-up display here, I put it to snow mode because I just like it when the number is blue. Snow, of course, when you have a white background, you can still see the blue number. Cup holders are adaptive, but you could also take out that whole thing here. Of course, this remains in there. Why not? Then you put this one up. You have more separators, for example, for all your clutter and so on. And here underneath, there's like, you know, like for a parking card or something, and for coins. So like, yeah, or this say for like a park clock. Do you call it park clock also? The famous German Parkuhr. Listen and repeat. Parkuhr is like. How do you call this actually in Britain, for example? This is the famous Ankunftszeit. Like you set it to the time you arrive, and then it's always like 30 minutes in ahead. You can actually set it to. So the famous German Parkuhr. Geeicht. So this has to be that, or if you put something else in there which is not like this very original, you directly go to jail. Yeah, if it would have a different color, directly go to jail in Germany. Definitely, yeah. And then this whole armrest here is well attached and also soft enough for the elbow. You can also slide it forward and upward, because only by that it actually fits here for the elbow if you want to drive in a very relaxed manner. Panoramic roof. On the Pro side, it goes all the way across the vehicle, and also you can open it for rear. So this is one of the rare panoramic roofs left, which you can really open like that. Wow, it leaves a lot of air in this, that's pretty nice. And you can also apply a shade. The only thing is that here in the front, you have these sliders, and especially while driving, you sometimes, maybe not slide well enough, and then this is the thing here. Sometimes the car complains, says like the vehicle key is not in the vehicle. And Leah had it once on the Autobahn that while driving, the car was saying the key is not in the vehicle and suddenly applied the brake. That's a huge problem. And I'll also report that to VW, and the engineers definitely need to work on that. So now the shade is closed. But of course, we need it open actually to have some more light on the interior, because I also want to show you something from the rear. And so with 189, 6'2", still have some space here above my head. And this is the seat as I would be driving, still enough legroom. Remember, it's not a very long car, so good usage of space. 2 USB-C chargers here, next to a real climate unit. And seat heating would be activated if the engine is actually properly running. Hard pack though at the inside of the doors. Optional Harman Kardon sound system. But there is a felt covering also at the rear of the back doors. Recently had the BMW 5 Series, for example, which did not have any felt covering at the inside of the doors at all. So I'm really happy to have it right here. Then the seats, which is cool. You can slide it forward here, 2/3, 1/3, like this, to have more trunk. To have more trunk or more legroom, you can decide that. And then pull these straps here to change the angle of the back seat like this. Isofix, what was it on the... Yeah, Isofix both on the front seat and also the outer parts of the rear seats, because Tiguan is also often used, of course, when you have a family or with children and so on. So there we go, cup holders. It's a little bit weird function, but I mean, it works kind of. There we go. I think when we were in the studio the first time, I couldn't even get it out properly because this was a prototype vehicle. But there you can see sometimes, when we have some functions that don't work. This is like a meme among car journalists. And then the manufacturers say, it's all like a prototype, or it's all like a pre-production vehicle, And sometimes it's true and it gets better, like this. This works now properly. But sometimes they just claim it, and it's like, I remember the Jaguar XE. There was like the trunk release from below. It was like a cable and it was fixed with tape underneath. And then they say, it's all pre-production. And then 5 years later, I rechecked the vehicle and it was still the same. Yeah. So it can be like this or like that, something like this or like that. Then ski hatch here in the middle. Then you can also load this one here through. So overall, the comfort and all the features here on the rear seat, very convincing. And on the rear windows, Leah shows us here. No. We finally know why the Tiguan is called Tiguan. This is the Tiger. On the other side is the Iguana. So Tiger plus Iguana is Tiguan. I'm not sure if the vehicle really looks like a tiger or like a iguana, but you can see from the outside, you can see it only when you hold a hand from the inside, then you can see the shade, but it's better visible from the inside, definitely. Engine lineup. This is here the 2-liter TDI, just under 8 seconds in the acceleration figure in the 193 horsepower trim, all-wheel drive. Also other horsepower specs are available. And then you can get a 1.5 TSI turbo petrol engine, or a 2-liter TSI turbo petrol engine, so 2 different strengths and horsepower outputs are available. Exact numbers you'll also find in the pinned comment or in the video description. And most important upgrade is the 1.5 TSI plug-in hybrid. Now with way bigger battery, 20 kWh net, and realistic like 80 kilometers, 50 miles of pure electric range. This is a massive upgrade indeed. And yeah, you always have then the DSG, the dual clutch transmission, automatic. Autobahn, sport mode. Oh, that's 160 kilometers an hour. So this is here the 2-liter TDI for the all-new Volkswagen Tiguan. 193 horsepower, 7.7 is the acceleration figure, 7.7 seconds to 100 kilometers an hour or 62 miles an hour, and yeah, definitely more than enough. One of the more powerful engines here available for the Tiguan. I mean, it has a certain size, so I would also recommend not to go for a very underpowered engine, because then you're always running it at very high RPM and so on. So this one here is definitely suitable enough. And of course, the big advantage for the diesel is that it has enough power and torque, so especially when you need it here on the Autobahn. At the same time, especially if you use it on the motorway, it has quite a good fuel economy. So we're here long term at 6.5 liters on 100 kilometers. And that is somewhat okay, definitely. I mean, it's an SUV, yes. So recently in the Skoda Octavia, for example, we had the same diesel engine and we could score some 4 liters on 100 kilometers. Yeah, so at some point, this building style, which pushes against the wind, has its costs, but it's way more aerodynamic than before, actually. It's 6.5 liters on 100 kilometers, by the way, is about 45 mpg US, 55 mpg UK, just for comparison. But I think that's overall quite good average. If we're here in the sport mode, by the way, the shifting also goes to sport, so the RPMs are always a little bit higher. And also the DCC changes if you have that option. DCC, the dynamic chassis control, that's the adaptive suspension. I can also show you more about that. First of all, I want to show you, I can select the driving mode in several ways. I can press here this lower button, for example, and then also select it while driving from below. That's good that I don't have to do it in the touchscreen, just depending on what you prefer, because they have also easily put it here in a hotkey down there. So if you're somewhere else in the main menu, you just have to press up here, and then you can more or less easily pick that, because the screen here, especially the bigger one, is now so large that you can easily also pick that in the screen while driving. Is definitely easier than before. And this DCC you can also set to the individual mode. It's not too complicated actually. Here you can, for example, set it all the way to comfort, and then the steering to sport, which is sometimes my favorite, because here in the lower degree angle in the comfort mode, there's not too much reaction from the steering. Overall it's fine, but you can also tune it here to the sport level, and then you have a little bit more feedback in the steering. But still then, here, this is more for running straight. There's not too much feeling here, and then it gets more feeling to the side. And now the guys behind me probably say like, what the hell is this guy doing? So yeah, that's a catch actually a little bit. So that could be a little bit better with the steering, but I'm overall still happy with it. And also this DCC Pro is the new upgraded dynamic chassis control, does a good job. So considering you have 20-inch wheels mounted here, so the biggest wheels that are available, is still a very good comfort. Also when we have these waves here on the motorway, very well even it out, so you don't miss an air suspension for that. If you want more comfort, stick with smaller wheels. Then you can also vary that a little bit. With the 20-inch wheels, you have a somewhat sportier ride. Here, noise insulation at 100 kilometers an hour is, I would say, okay. We do have competitors from the premium brands which are more silent, I would say. If we compare like a BMW X1, for example, I feel that it's more silent here than the VW Tiguan. And I mean, here the price, yeah, you can easily compare it to premium competitors. When we come at the end of the review to our pricing section, you might be surprised what you meanwhile have to pay for a VW Tiguan. So as we talk about like little the sporty features, let's do a lane change, and it's always good to do that, of course. And here when you have the sporty DCC mode to compare, for example. And also the taxi driver behind me is probably getting nervous and wants to drive 2 meters in front of me. So to the right, I see here it doesn't shake up at all. Really nice. We go back. Yeah, that's actually very decent. So, and if you go to the more comfortable mode here, you do feel it actually also in the lane changes. But the good thing about the DCC is it always rules in this certain spectrum. So thank you, Liam. Not sure what was like this. What did it say? Like always pay attention or something? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, these things are always, I feel, more distracting than they would add to safety or something. So yeah, back to the DCC. So even if you have it in the most comfortable setting, it rules between comfort and sportiness in a certain spectrum. And even if you're in a sporty setting, it also rules between comfort and sportiness. It's just a different preset, and both will be fine while driving. So if you ask me between the difference of the previous generation and this generation, this time here with the German Autobahn focus, initial review was more like rural driving in France. It was in southern France, yeah, indeed. Thank you. Yeah, it was in southern France. No, it was in southern France. I think. Yeah, sometimes we get mixed with with so many driving reviews. Definitely. So this time here, as we have it in Germany, wanted to pay more attention to the German Autobahn, German motorway, and this is also one of the things you feel. It has always been a very nice compact SUV, definitely. But this one here, this new generation, feels even more refined, I would say. Please pay attention to the road. But maybe because I'm sometimes looking at the camera or something at you guys, maybe that's it or something. The view of the DCC is always nice to see for sure. So so I'm really happy with the motorway driving. The only thing I noticed, because we drove the Passat and the Tiguan the very same day, is that the new Passat is even better. And that's always the discussion between SUV and turnback SUV or estate and something. And in that case you have to say like the low building style has even more advantages for comfort. But for an SUV here, good in comfort. Gonna go for another acceleration right here. Really nice. The diesel also has power reserves if you're already at speed. And there we go. Now the wind noise is picking up, but for that speed it's still somewhat okay. Not the best in the noise insulation, but still good. Also has this, special insulation pack here, high trim level. That was almost 190 kilometers an hour. And also good feeling for the brake overall, I think. And the good thing about the diesel is here, when you are at higher speeds, then the consumption is not so much higher than at lower speeds. More in the city maybe you get the problem, whereas the petrol engine, especially if you go for a smaller one, will exceed the consumption figures even more, especially at higher speeds. Then that's the thing. Here, by the way, when we are at higher speeds, do a lane change in comfort mode, it's still okay. It doesn't shake up too much. Now the taxi driver, we let him overtake. Now he's getting more angry. So there we go. Overall a very nice feeling here in the Tiguan. Gives you also a safe, compact feeling. So since it's not too long, you always have a very good feeling for that vehicle. It has, let's say, the right size that you can do everything in the city. At the same time, it's comfortable enough here on the German Autobahn. By the way, if I didn't mention yet, the maximum towing capacity is 2.3 tons. The all-wheel drive diesel would be a very good example for that, for this maximum towing capacity. Pricing, very interesting. Hold on tight, guys. So it starts around 35,000 euros, 35,000 pounds, roundabout, with a very base entry model, front-wheel drive, 1.5 TSI. But then if you go to the TDI, for example, or the plug-in hybrids, here is for the R-Line, of course, is more expensive than, and so on. More bells and whistles. This car here, as it stands right now, it's a Volkswagen Tiguan. It's not a Bentley Bentayga. This car here is in the German price list here for 70,000 euros. I've never seen a Tiguan for 70,000 euros. Here it is. And maybe you can rather buy a plane for that. So if you now compare it to a BMW X1 or like Audi Q3, Mercedes GLA, you can easily compare it to it because they are in the very same price region now. That's a tough pill to swallow for today. Other than that, driving is really nice here with the DCC Pro and so on. And I think the looks is also pretty cool here, especially in the new R-Line. It's also way more aerodynamic than before. So this will, of course, make the consumption better. We've seen it. It was also quite okay from the diesel. The only thing is here, due to the new aerodynamics, because it has this more fluent form, yes, aerodynamics have massively improved. But on the same side, before, the previous generation was a little more angular and looked to me a little bit stronger. So definitely always pro and con with the new products, but it's very, very interesting ride for sure. What do you think about the new Tiguan? Tell me in the comments and tune in to the competitors.